lifesaver, but there's something that not many people know about me. It's a little secret. I'm afraid of the ocean. You see, every time I go down to the beach and I step foot into the water, I get this deep-set anxiety and fear about the waves. When I was 8 years old, I almost drowned while swimming at Manly Beach with some friends. A large wave came and dumped me and I got drowned and I was unable to move or breathe. You know that when people say that when they're about to die, they see their life flashing before their eyes and they see the light and it starts to appear? Well, that's what happened to me. Luckily, at 8 years old, it wasn't like I had many memories to remember. I remember thinking, really? Is that it? It's all over now? But somehow I managed to pull myself up from the ocean and survive. So today I'd like to talk to you about how to face your own fears and how to dive headfirst into them. And you're going to learn some lessons along the way. Ironically, I really do feel like a bit of a fish out of water because I live in one of those magical suburbs that you've heard of that's in many lonely planets throughout the world, known as Bondi. It's this land of hipsters and activewear and really expensive, pretentious-sounding coffee orders like almond milk decaf lattes. And don't get me wrong, I love living in Bondi and I love wearing my leggings and sipping my $6 coffee, but I feel like an imposter because every time I go to the beach, I have such anxiety and fear about the waves dumping and drowning me, a lot like some of my ex-boyfriends. So what did I do about this, you might ask? Well, this is what I'm going to share with you today. Turns out I'm not alone. A lot of people have different fears, some of the most common being social phobia, fear of flying, fear of open and enclosed spaces, fear of heights. I have a skydiving story later if you want to hear it. And, there's other fears as well, like animals, fears of snakes, fears of insects, fears of spiders, I'm sure we all have those, fears of storms, and the list goes on and on. But it turns out that lesson number 1, fear is pretty normal. Neuroscientists have found that the neurotransmitters in the limbic part of your brain, that's the flight or flight response, they are activated and produce fear when electrically charged or stimulated, even when there isn't any fear around. So it's a pretty normal reaction. Lesson number 2 is that exposure therapy is really useful for treating fears and treating other conditions like anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder. The idea behind it is that you incrementally expose yourself to the fear and thereby you limit your anxiety around it. So for me to challenge myself with that fear, I had to do something different. And Locke and Latham state that in order to achieve a goal, you need to have self-efficacy, meaning that you need to be confident in your ability to achieve the goal. So for me, I wrote a bucket list. Item number 16 was to become a lifesaver, alongside do more yoga and spend time with my dad. And so I'm talking serious lifesaver here. I'm talking Channel 10, thank you, Steve. Taking Channel 10, Bondi Rescue, Pamela Anderson, just without the fake boobs, basically. So this is where I'd love to have cue the music and tell you all about my 8 weeks of training, which included things like CPR and wave theory and first aid and board rescues and hand signals that might come in handy if you're drowning, such as attract attention, return to shore, and so on. The point of my story being, after 8 weeks, I became a lifesaver, but I'm still not Ariel the Little Mermaid. But there's something about having someone's life in my hands that kind of makes me forget about the big wave behind me. So for me, I had to do another form of exposure therapy, another way to set myself that challenge. So I decided to become a rescue boat driver, and that's me on the front. And if you haven't heard of a rescue boat driver, basically it involves driving really fast into a really large wave. So after a lot of screaming and a lot of crying at my trainers telling them that I was going to quit and I can't do it, I became a rescue boat driver. And the point of my story being, you can just do it. Just remember, lesson number 1, we all have fear. It's pretty normal. Lesson number 2, just remember to face your fear, one little step at a time. And lesson number 3, you just have to set yourself a goal, something that you feel confident in your ability to do so. And just remember that you're not alone. We all have fears. Hands up if you have a fear. Yeah. And you just got to make it your friend. Don't run from it. Do a little bit of exposure therapy. And next time you're down at Bondi, come say hi.